And we're
We're
live.
live. Okay.
How are you, John?
I'm a little tired. I got up very early because I had to be awake for the 6 a.m. space to meditate. Well, 7
Ah,
a.m. space to meditate.
mm-hmm.
Just because nobody was available, I had to ring the bell. and
You
then
gotta
and then
keep.
we have and then I had to leave the 8 a.m. and then I had to do we have our Friday sharing circles. So it was a big it was a lot to do first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Before your
Um,
coffee, I'm sure.
no, I had
You
coffee in
had
there
your coffee.
somewhere. Yeah.
You had their coffee
And then I had to
somewhere.
make another pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how are you doing?
All right. Also a little sleepy. Last night for some reason I was up for a while overnight. I think because it was a little chilly in the house, and
Uh-huh.
I'd forgotten to turn the heat on. So,
I see. Okay.
but it happens.
Yeah, of course. That's what cats are for.
That's what. Yeah,
To
and
warm
the
you up.
kitty cats. Yeah, one of them brought a stuffed animal into the bedroom in the middle of the night. So
A stuffed
she
animal.
she
Okay.
she
Well, that's
apparently
better.
wanted it. Yeah, it was one of the ones they play with, and she
I see.
apparently wanted to make sure that it was with us during the night. So
Well, that's sweet.
yeah.
Oh, goodness. So, anyway, um, we thought we'd have this broad discussion. Well, we'll see how broad it is, but the discussion about the path,
The path.
a path, several paths, the
Ah,
path.
several paths.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's
Take your pick.
okay. So we have the Eightfold Path,
Yep.
which is like key,
Mm-hmm.
and
Gradual path or gradual training. That's another
yeah,
one.
and um, well, that is the gradual path, right? Or are you thinking of something else?
Well, there is a gradual path in the early text, which is not exactly the same as the Eightfold Path. It's a different set of uh, landmarks, I would say, and it's more directly linear. Yeah.
So say more about that.
Now you're asking me, and I haven't actually looked into it, but it starts with um, the existence of a Buddha in the world who preaches and teaches the Dharma, and you hear the teaching, and you basically at that point you become a monastic. So
I
it's
see.
very
Okay,
explicitly a monastic path,
got it.
and then becoming a monastic, you practice the ethical path. You uh, uh, remove yourself from the world, the sort of worldly things. You start doing deep meditation. You reach the jhanas. Blah blah blah.
Okay,
It's that kind of thing.
got it.
And then
But it's a monastic path
well, it's a monastic
primarily.
path from about step 3 onwards.
Got it.
It's that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it is a sort of a
But you have
separate
to meet
way
the
of.
Buddha first.
Well,
A
yeah.
Buddha.
Well, you have to at least hear his teaching, right?
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, some
Okay.
one way or the other. Uh, but
And it's
yeah, I mean, it's a different way of framing the path of practice. But
right.
yeah.
But you say it's linear.
Well, it's more directly linear in the sense that you really are going from stage. The Buddha appears, the Buddha teaches, you hear the Buddha, you
I
go
see.
and
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
it's
As opposed to the Eightfold Path, which is not linear at all, really.
which yeah, I
Um,
mean, sorta, kinda linear, but not.
I don't see it as linear at all. It's really circular.
Yeah,
Only
yeah, yeah,
because,
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Spiral. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I wouldn't even. It's just that if you start from right view,
Hmm.
you don't necessarily end, at when you've achieved samadhi, because then you come back and you look at the view again, and there's more wisdom that's been gained, so the view sort of expands or not, and of course the ethical part of it is there all along. Um, or although that's also you sort of that becomes more subtle, so it's like it's a continual thinking that we're there, but realizing we're not,
Yeah.
or having to start again. It's kind of a circular journey. And then, of course, there is just, I've been doing a lot of sitting with some Zen friends
Mm.
and reading Dogen. And, it's just sitting, and
Sure.
everything can happen there. Although the ethics are kind of important as well. I
Does
mean,
he
you
does he
can't do
talk
one
about
with
those?
not in great not in great detail that I've discovered yet. I mean, it just well, yeah, of course. A student asks the question, are the precepts important when it comes to zazen? And of course, it's like, well, yeah, you can't have one without the other. You can't have the other without, it's like
Mm-hmm.
reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's sort of vague, his response,
Mm.
in that sense. Um, and yet it's there. So, but there are these notions of like, right, of sudden awakening.
Mm.
But even one who has a sudden awakening, in a sense, needs to go back and do the gradual path,
Yeah,
potentially.
well, it's a different, I mean, to
Yeah,
my understanding, it's a very different understanding. It's a very different framing of what enlightenment is.
right.
I mean, it's very different from what you find in the early texts. It's a completely different kind of idea.
Or is it just described in such a way that makes it sound completely different?
Maybe, although in the early texts, I mean, enlightenment is something that you gain once and you
Hmm.
have it forever,
Right.
and it never goes away. It's permanent.
Because you've cut off the bonds of greed, hatred, and delusion.
Exactly.
Right.
Whereas in Zen, I don't get that feeling. I get the feeling that it's a more sort of unstructured
Mm.
what happens in awakening or enlightenment or, uh,
Right.
yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
however it's framed.
Um, and then but in terms of also just those of us who are not there yet,
Of
um,
course. Yeah.
there's how we stay on the path, and
Mm.
because it's so easy to get off the path.
Hmm.
I mean, let's keep it in terms of the Eightfold Path at the moment. And the useful um, phrase that I've heard and certainly take to heart is that it's the obstacles which actually make the path, or the obstacles are the path. In other words, if we
Mm.
are, following the Eightfold Path in terms of, having the right view of the Dharma and the understanding of the Dharma, and we're coming to the path with an intention of care and kindness and openness and right thought, and we're following the precepts, and then we're doing our meditation practice. Within the meditation practice alone, obstacles arise, whether those obstacles are simply hindrances or whether those obstacles are something else, external obstacles, people who drive us nuts. It's those people who drive us nuts in a way that can be a path, uh, certainly of letting go of resentments, or letting go of anger, or letting go of hatred.
Hmm.
Um,
I
so
mean, I would
people,
frame those as hindrances as well. I mean, I would sort of think of them
sure,
all as
yeah,
resolving in hindrances. It's just that hindrances can come from different places. They can come,
yeah, sure,
you know.
yeah, I'll buy that. And and even great loss or all these things
Hmm.
result in as part of our practice.
Hmm.
And so we hear, as an example, I mean, even if we look at what we were talking about a few weeks ago around the various women involved that come in the suttas and who all have great suffering and
Hmm.
whatever that they're dealing with. If they hadn't had that in the first place, they wouldn't necessarily have even gotten on the path. So in a sense, those kind of things bring people to a path.
Hmm.
And I think that's really important to just recognize. It doesn't have to. Of course, you don't have to have tragedy before you end up coming through a dharma door of a door of a dharma center.
Hmm.
But it's often what brings people there. And then along the way, things happen. Of course,
Hmm.
you know, people in our lives pass away, or we lose jobs, or we lose possessions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those all become part of the path, and are opportunities for breaking through, I would say, because we start to see the ephemeral nature of things, the impermanent nature of things, very directly,
Mm-hmm.
and and then we see our attachments, and we see our aversions, etc. We see things so clearly when they just pop into our lives unexpectedly
Mm-hmm.
or expectedly. I mean, however they arrive.
Yeah.
So at least in my experience, it's those obstacles which, if they don't, I mean, they clarify the path, I would say, in a way, because it forces you to sort of look more carefully at the dukkha you're experiencing and what's really causing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, these are important aspects of practice. I think is just to not push away the obstacles, but turning toward those obstacles, and
Mm-hmm.
treating them as opportunities and
Yeah, I
teachers,
think.
and however we,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I mean, absolutely. I think that's very wise. I think as long as, I was going to say, it sounded to me like you're sort of saying that the Mara was the Buddha. You know,
right. Well,
you know,
yeah,
in a
right,
sense. I mean, not literally, but in a
right,
sense, because without without Mara, you wouldn't need the Buddha, right? I mean, in a sense, without the dukkha,
right.
you wouldn't need the third noble truth. But yeah, I mean, you have to. It all depends on. It all depends on having some glimmer of right view
Hmm.
at the
Sure.
beginning,
Yeah, yeah,
because
absolutely.
the problem for so many of us is that we don't, and so we just get carried away by Mara, and then that's no good. So
Or we come to meditation as a thing, meditation as a thing we do for very specific reasons.
how do you mean, in what sense?
Oh, I'm going to meditate because it's cool to meditate.
Ah, yeah.
I'm going to meditate because I know I'll be able to be more creative, or whatever. You know,
Mm-hmm.
often people will, I certainly, when I first came to transcendental meditation, it's because, oh, I heard you have these amazing experiences, and it'll, whatever, didn't do a thing, but,
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
become part of our identity. We want to be a
exactly.
meditator. Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, well, coming to it with some level of understanding of right view, or at least as your, if you come to a meditation class with an expectation that it's going to do X, Y, or Z, the likelihood is that it will not do X, Y, or Z, but something else will be discovered. But if some people will come to a class for X, Y, or Z, and then when it doesn't happen, they'll be disappointed and they think they're doing something wrong, right?
Right.
As opposed to coming with literally no expectation and an open heartedness and a beginner's mind. To go back to the Zen teacher, Suzuki Roshi, but it's like this notion of, oh, that's what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, from there, things start to unfold in many
Right.
ways.
Yeah. I mean, I think in my experience, meditation is pretty uh pretty generally good at sort of a very slight reduction in the stress level. I mean, I think that it's good at that. Now, I mean, I'm not going to say 100%. I'm not going to say always. I'm not going to say for sure, but I think it's reliably good at that. And that's a good place to
It's a
start.
start, yeah.
And I think a lot of people who have very, I mean, I can understand that, very busy lives where they're, running from one thing to another and multitasking and can't get off their phone and all the rest. Just having the the openness, the possibility, the permission to sit quietly for 5, 10, 30 minutes and follow the breath is just by itself
Oh
something
yeah,
amazing.
for sure.
And at that level, there is a certain way you can say that, for at least for most people, most of the time, you can go in with an expectation that you're going to have a time of calming down, and it probably will. For most, again, there's no guarantee, but I think it's pretty good at that, for most of us, most of the time. But it's the other stuff, the sort of more highfalutin stuff that some people sort of get into. That there's no promise of that.
Yeah, and I think that it's true. At that moment where people just stop for even 10 minutes, something shifts. And then it's like, well, what just happened?
Yeah,
And that's what opens up the door
yeah,
to other things, you know?
yeah. I mean, I know for myself when I started, meditating when I was in high school.
Mhm.
I was at a very, very sort of high pressure kind of very, very academic high school, and um, yeah, I could just remember the calm that comes just from, and at university too, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
The calm that comes from, just being willing to sort of set that chattering, striving mind aside for however long it is,
Yeah.
was just by itself a breath of sort of freedom. At least for me, that was a sort of thing that I just said, I want to keep doing this, and I came back to, I stopped doing it for a while, but then I came back to it with this feeling that I wanted to get back to that kind of peace.
Yeah. And so, um, I mean, what's interesting in my case, it was like, and I came to these practices much later, TM I did in college. And I mean, I'm older than you, so I don't remember, in high school, it's not like anybody told me to meditate. I remember I did have a friend who was actually one of the teachers, wasn't one of my teachers, but we became friends. He was a former Catholic monk. I'm not sure. I can't remember which denomination, which order, but we talked about meditation, um, but I didn't really get into it with him in terms of what it
Mm,
was. In any event, when I finally, in the mid '90s, started realizing that there had to be something else that I was missing. Um, and then it was like I read something that struck me as, in terms of concept. It said, "Oh, this makes sense. This
mm,
sounds right." And then that's when I started practice. So it was like that that put me on a path. But what brought me there in the first place were some challenging things going on in my emotional life, right?
right.
So it was like, oh, this is what's happening. And then I started, meditating. Of course, felt that calm. Well, maybe not right away. Actually, I don't even remember, to be honest. And then as I let go of the striving for something, things started to shift.
Mm,
And so it's like, but of course, yes, when people come to a class and you just say, let's just sit for 5 minutes and, see what's here. Mm. I remember, one instance. It was a well-known, somebody who became quite a well-known journalist who was in my class. And she, at the time, I think she was writing for the New York Times. And she, she said, "Oh, it's the first time in a long time I haven't like looked at my cell phone for 5 minutes."
mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Yep.
And, that makes a difference. You
It
know, because
does.
we are, and then it's like, oh, so there's, and then it's like, and what else is here? What else is possible here?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, if we look at an MBSR path, right, it starts with practice, mindfulness-based stress reduction, right? It starts with a body scan practice, which is the first time many people actually come in touch with their body, right? And that's hard for most people. It's really hard because they're always looking for something as opposed to just receiving what's here.
Mm-hmm.
And so stepping back in that way. And then, you know, and then there's a certain process there which slowly they start to see what their habit patterns are and what is needed and what isn't needed. And, you know, it's not an eightfold path necessarily, but it's there. And the eightfold path is underlying it. But the right view comes in a different form, perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
without the Buddhist language. Um, and yet, I still would say that it's those obstacles along the way that teach people something,
Sure.
and that to me is really important.
Well, they can. I mean, I think you're coming at it from a very wise perspective, which is that I mean, ideally, what you should do when you encounter an obstacle is to try to learn from it.
Right,
You know, I can't say that I always approach my obstacles that way, but I should. I mean, for
right.
sure.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah. I mean,
We do our best.
yeah. I mean, it's
Um,
true that so what does the people say that your obstacle is your friend in that sense? You know that it's
right,
the teacher. It's the teacher.
absolutely.
It's the
Yeah,
one that um, when something comes up in front of you that seems difficult and painful and that's an opportunity for you to figure out what's going on there. I mean, absolutely. I think, yeah, 100%. If you can manage to make that kind of wise reframing, you can turn something that's you would ordinarily think of as a real bummer into something that's useful.
right. And when we talk about knowing dukkha,
Exactly.
that's the knowing of dukkha.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the knowing of dukkha means, oh, okay, so here it is. Normally, if I just, you know, going back a step or two, it's like if I just experienced that dukkha, I would try to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
The knowing of the dukkha is, oh, it's just this. Now what? You know, what happens when I turn toward it and become intimate with it and actually uh, see what's here to learn
Mm-hmm.
from, in a sense. That's to me is like the key of the path,
Yeah.
personally. And I think that's even, you know, what's interesting with my Zen friends is that as we're reading, you know, Dogen, is it still all comes back to that. It all comes back to these early teachings and, you know, and dependent origination. You know, it's like the language isn't there, but when there's something that comes up, oh, you know, it's looking at it in that frame is it's easier than like getting lost in it in some way. Um, so it's really kind of entertaining to sort of see that. You know, you're sort of looking at a different tradition, but it still comes back to the same thing.
Mm.
Um, so, uh,
I mean, although at least in my understanding in Zen, they sort of shy away from trying to really understand what's
right,
going on.
yeah.
So
Not that
which
they
is
shy
different,
away from it. They don't put the emphasis on it, I suppose.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This is all. It's been fun working with this group and
Mm-hmm.
playing. You know, being part of this group. It's a
I'm
different kind of
sure.
Kalyanamita, in
Yeah.
a sense. You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and spiritual friends. So
Sure.
anyway, uh, you know, and then of course on another front, you know, my former teacher Matt Flickstein made a whole documentary called um, what's it called? Shoot, with one voice.
Mm.
You know, which was many paths to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And he interviewed, you know, dozens of spiritual leaders in different traditions,
Mm-hmm.
and what their practice was, and it was all going in the same direction. So Buddhism is certainly approval, a verified path, one could say. We know it is. It does work.
Mm-hmm.
It does do something. It's something changes in your life when we take it on, and
Well, I mean, even at the very beginning, I think when we were when you're talking about MBSR or just sitting for the first time and you realize you haven't been looking at your smartphone for 5 minutes for the first time in
right,
however many years, or you look at some hard experience in your life with a new ability to frame it in a way that makes it something you can learn from.
right,
These are things that even at the beginning, relative beginning of the path, we can take with us into our everyday life,
absolutely, yeah,
um, and
absolutely,
use on a daily basis. And if we make that, if we try to, uh, make that part of our strength training, right? Of just sort of returning to that and knowing that we have it in our toolbox, knowing that it's something we can return to. Um, it's by itself a real advance. It's, we don't have, I mean, as lay people, we hardly even need much more than that. We just need to know that and use it and, come back to it. And I think we will find, that's why I like to say it's a spiral path, because, we come back to, we keep coming back, but we're in a slightly different place each time we come back.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
We're,
That's yeah, okay. So yes, then spiral makes sense.
yeah.
I was avoiding it just because it's. I've been teaching from Divan Jones's book,
Yeah. Well, the
which talks about the different
yeah,
kind of spiral path.
different kind of spiral path.
Although it is still part of the path. I mean, so the
Mhm.
that's has to do with the right view and our view of dependent origination and how
Sure.
we. But yes, absolutely, we go on the journey and then we realize, oh, there's more, and we come up, and every time we're coming back, we're at a different place.
Hmm.
And yes, and so I guess the interesting thing about all of these paths is that so even if you're on the sudden path, the sudden awakening, right,
Mm.
then you still have to deal with the ethical stuff. I mean, you can't really avoid that.
Well, you should. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you believe in karma and the
Hmm.
consequences.
Yeah.
And so, which is a key part of the teachings. So,
Hmm.
and there are plenty of main, people that we've considered in the as great teachers who are great teachers, but they still have, they've messed up in other ways.
Hmm.
So they still have their own work to do.
Yeah.
And we're all human. So still,
Somehow.
yeah. Anyway, as we come to the end of this discussion, this is our last. Well, we're gonna go in. I would say that Digging the Dharma is going to take some time off and reconfigure. And Doug is. I wouldn't want to say you're retiring. That's really not the case, but because your wife is retiring,
Because my wife is retiring.
that you're going to take some time to like reconfigure yourself,
Yep.
your life. So while you're reconfiguring your life, I'm looking at ways of reconfiguring Digging the Dharma, and we'll come back and see in a few months and see what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like you're going away.
Nope. Not going anywhere.
So you will still be part of it always, whether you like it or not.
All right. Yeah.
And so those of you that have been with us all this time, if you're just joining us, there's like, I don't know, 400. I can't remember how many
We've got a lot.
podcasts.
Got a
They're
pretty
still
good-
all there,
Yep. It's still there.
and at least in an audio form.
Yep.
And in the meantime, I'll see you the next time I'm in the East, which is at the end of, well, probably see you maybe in early July if you're around.
Yep.
That's when I'll be able to get
That
out.
sounds great.
And those of you that are in New York, I'll be in New York the last week of June, teaching. on Right View. Actually, I'm doing that class. I think you were in once called Right View, Wise View, No View.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, vaguely. Yeah, remember that. Yep.
I think you might have been in that. Anyway, it'll be in a hybrid class
Hmm.
at New York Inside and online. So
Excellent.
um, yeah, so you can check that out at my website or at Doug's website. You'll be doing your stuff.
Yep.
Are you cutting back a bit on that, or
I
what's your?
am. I'm going to be cutting back a bit on that as well. This is the last. This will be the last year for the Online Dharma Institute, so that my courses I'll try to, because it's too expensive to keep that thing going.
Sure, yeah,
So we'll
got it.
we'll wind it down.
You're so lazy, Doug. I don't know.
That's right. I got other things to do.
Anyway, yeah, it's been great, and
Yeah.
to be continued down the road. Stay
Yeah.
tuned, and we'll
Keep
keep you
digging.
posted.
Keep digging the Dharma.
Don't
Right.
stop just because we're going in hiatus for a while. So, yeah. All right, friends, be well.
Yep. Be well.